Hi, I'm Donna with Laugh a Lot Art Events, and right now I am going to show you a demo on mandala stone painting. So in your art kit, you should have received this instructional guide with some samples. And mandala stone truly is a relaxing gratitude practice. It just like any art, it just helps you to forget about everything else that's going on except for what you're doing in the moment. And mandalas were actually created originally in East Asia as a practice by monks to let go. So they would create in sand these beautiful mandalas. Sometimes they would do them together as a group, sitting together quietly, but create these beautiful, beautiful, symmetrical mandalas. And then when they're done, they just wipe it away and it's gone. It's not saved. Well, for me, that would be hard to let go because I love to keep them and give them away. But the practice is just that. It's just letting go and releasing. So here are some examples of some that I did. Your stones could be dark, they could be light, they might be round, they could be oblong. And here's an example of one that's a little, not exactly round, but a darker stone. And here's an example of an oblong one that you could just put a little section with a mandala on it. It's really up to you. Just get creative. You might have a heart-shaped stone. This one was somewhat heart-shaped, so I went ahead and started with a heart shape. So just have fun with it. Use your imagination, your creative practice. And things that you're going to need: paper towel, a cup of water. I'm going to tilt my screen so you can see what I have here. If you have ordered a kit from me, you're going to get this instruction sheet. And if you can see, I'll show you this in a moment. It shows you step by step how to do a basic mandala. But in your kit, you will have a couple stones. You will have dotting tools. These are the tools with these balls on the end of them, and they're all different sizes. Okay. You will have different colored paints. I usually put them for shipping in these tubes. They're actually lip gloss tubes in a variety of colors, and a tray that you can squirt the paints into. Okay. And then the paints, just to let you know, these are multi-surface paints, which can be used on glass, ceramic, any shiny surface. I'm going to start with practicing some of this, and you should actually practice on paper. This is watercolor paper. And I wanted to show you something actually for this Mother's Day kit. As part of the Mandala Mother's Day kit, I added these treats. So usually my kit, you'll get some kind of treat, whether it's popcorn, but this one is from Amberella Organics, and these are lollipops that are called seed berry lollipops. And inside the pop are flower petals. Let's see if I can take this up so I can show you. So the lollipop itself is organic. It doesn't have any fake coloring to it, but there are flower petals inside. And then the stick is where the seeds are loaded in this biodegradable stick, and you just put it in dirt in a pot after you've eaten the lollipop and water it and watch it grow. So this one right here is green apple, yum. So the lollipop is green apple, and then chamomile are the seeds that are inside the pop. And they gave them to me with this really pretty Mother's Day card. So that was fun. So you may have a Mother's Day kit, I don't know. But these mandala stone painting kits are great for birthday parties. And you can sign up for an event with me, put it on the calendar, and we'll paint together. And I'll teach you on live on I'm there showing you what to do, and team builders for corporate team builders, or just like break time. You can actually, I'll put this on YouTube, and you and your team can watch it with yourselves, by yourselves, or together on your break time as something that you can do to kind of bond, but relax. So to start, I am going to tilt my screen so you get a better view. So you're not going to be able to see my face. And I wanted to show you some guideline that is in my instructions. So we start with a large dot in the center, and then you put a smaller dot, pretty much the smallest dot in this mandala, and you're going all the way around. And then after you do that series of dots, and you can choose like different colors for the center and then the next layer of dots around, then for the next one, in between, but straight out from the center, you're going to put in the next largest dot in a different color and go in between each dot like so. So there's space, more space between these dots, and they're larger. And you progressively go out again and around, and you end up with something like this. So what I'm showing you here is a great way to get a center point is two perpendicular lines crisscross. You can draw it, and we'll erase it later, but this is on paper. You can also draw a circle and find the center, but I find it's, if you want your center point, doing the lines is best. And here's a stone. So my stone is kind of, triangular shaped. And we can start on that as well. And I drew a circle on the stone that can be wiped away later on. So let me just show you on paper before we go to stone. I take the largest circle, and let's practice some circles first on this paper before we go to our mandala. So I wanted to show you something. If you dot into the paint, you can go all the way down. Now, if the paint goes up around the sides, you need to be straight up and down. If the paint goes around the sides, not all that paint is going to land on your paper, just whatever makes contact with the paper. So I'm going to put a dot there, and I'm lifting straight up, and there's my dot. Okay, there's like a puddle in the center. That's ideal. You're going to get a raised dot in the center. Now, if I want to do all the way around, I'm going to load the brush again, or the dotting tool again, and do another dot. And depending on how hard I press down and how much paint is loaded will determine the size of that dot. And we're going to try to get dots that are the same size. Another technique would be to load the paint still straight up and down. And you want to do a series of dots going from larger to smaller, then don't reapply paint. Just dot, and then directly below it, do another dot, and another dot, straight up and down, and another dot. Sometimes the paint has come off, so you know when no paint is on it, you've used up the paint. But notice this, you're going progressively smaller. So maybe you want that effect. That's used a lot. Okay, so just wanted to show you that. All right, and I always wipe my tool clean before loading more paint. So I'm going to put that aside and just practice with the different sizes on a blank piece of paper before you really get started. So right now I'm going to use my largest dotting tool, and I'm going to make my center yellow. A lot of paint on there, and I'm putting it right over the center and lifting up. Look how big this dotting tool is, and look at the size of that circle. You've got to get a feel for that, because the circle is not going to be as big as the dotting tool itself. But you can at least know that the next smallest dotting tool is at least going to be smaller. with this instruction, if you notice, we've got the biggest circle. My circle is not quite as large as that. And then the circles going around it are small, and then the next layer is larger, and the next layer is even larger. So now I'm going to look for a rather small dotting tool to go around this circle. Okay? So I think I'm going to do the warm colors. I'm going to go out from yellow to orange to pink. That's what I'll do. But you could choose whatever colors you like in any combination. So I'm going to stick with these pink dotting tools instead of these little tiny ones, and I'm going to go with the smallest one that I have, which is this one. Look at how much smaller it is compared to that one. And I'm going to, because I did this X, I'm going to do a dot on either side to make a cross. And because of the size of this dotting tool, and you can tell by these instructions that you've got one top, one bottom, one to the right and one to the left. But look, that leaves room for 2 dots in between. So you're going to practice this so that you get your spacing even. It doesn't happen overnight. Getting a feel for that and having the control with your hands. So I understand, don't worry about it, we're just practicing. And you'll notice that mine won't be exactly perfect. So I'm loading with paint, and then I'm doing a dot straight up and down on that line, far enough away to have white space in between. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do that dot, load the paint again, and do that dot on the other side. So try to make it the same distance and the same size. And then loading the paint and going to the top, same distance away, loading the paint because I do want to get the same amount of paint. And like my distance away from the center's a little off. But now I'm going to do the 2 dots in between each side. Still loading between each one. And trying to make the spacing the same. Looks like a happy face. Alrighty, so I'm going to go all the way around with that. And one thing you can do is turn your paper instead of trying to twist your hand. You'll get a feel for that. So I'm going to turn my paper and try to get right over top. So my dots are not exactly the same size and the same distance away, and you can see that it will make it a little off. Now you can try to make your dots a little bit larger by going over it if you go straight over top, but most of the time that you do that, the circle ends up being a little bit out of shape, less round. So you can use a smaller dotting tool to adjust, but just keep in mind that you're just learning, you're just practicing, so that's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Alrighty. So my next color, I think, I will go ahead with the pink. So that was the tool that I used. So I'm going to go larger. I could go to the dotting tool on the other end of this, and that would make it easier. I'll make it larger. So I'm just going to go with that one. Loading the paint, going in between the 2 orange pair and straight out. Far enough away. So in between 2 and straight out. And I'll go all the way around with that. Reloading with paint each time. And I might not, if I have more paint, I can see as I press down the size of the circle. I'm trying to get it the same size as the last one I did. I think that's the hardest part for me. It's getting those circles the same size. Practice, practice. The masters know exactly how hard to press down, how far away, and you can see them zipping through. And there we go. All right, so one more time I'll do that, and with a different color. Which color should I use? I'm going to go with a larger tool. So I'm going to go with this one. It's not huge, but it's larger. And I think I'm going to go with the purple. So load that up. Same thing, in between the two pink, but further out. And I'm going to show you something that I like. I'm going to do 3 dots instead of going all the way around with 1 dot, but I'm going to load it with paint and I'm going to dot, dot, dot. So I'm going to go from the largest and then end up going gradually smaller. So dot, dot, dot. Okay. And I'll do that all the way around. So slightly different than the sample on my paper, but I want to do it, and I think you can do it this way too. Look at that, look how it's coming. Remember to go straight out. And load your brush or your painting tool with enough paint to do this. Now, if you turn it to an angle, you're going to get an angled circle. So remember, straight up and down. One more. And there it is. Okay, so that is the beginner mandala. And once that dries, I can put little, here, put this up. So once this dries, I can add different colors inside the centers like I have done with this one. So I started with the orange and then I put a red in the center. And I could do some accent colors. Maybe I throw in some greens. So lots of ways to play with this. That is mandala on paper. And I will just stop talking and I will tilt this overhead a little bit better and I'll work on a stone and you can watch if you like. So that's on a stone. I'll keep playing, see what I can do with this. I'm going to do a little curvy thing to give it some motion. So dot, dot, dot. I'm curving it and I'm making it go smaller. So you've got to be careful at this point that you don't get your fingers in your paint. don't want to touch my stone. Okay, one more. Ready? There it is. And I'll play with it some more and I'll post a picture of it. Oh, let me. Thank you so much for taking some time and watching this with me. And that is the beginning of my mandala stone. I'm going to add some more things to it. So. Thanks for watching, and if you want more information on my art parties and art party kits, go to laughalotpaintandsip.com. I'm Donna, and thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Keep painting, keep connecting and creating, and keep on laughing.